Starting off the day, starting off this stage, the exchange stage, with Sebastian Borget. By the way, turn your mic on. Sebastian Borget, the co-founder and COO of the Sandbox, an Ethereum-based metaverse and gaming ecosystem where users can create, share, and monetize in-world assets and gaming experiences. By the way, my name's Aaron Arnold. This is Austin Arnold. We have a YouTube channel called Altcoin Daily. Excited to be here. But Sebastian, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Really happy to be here on my second day in Dubai. Glad to be here with you, Austin and Aaron. I think we're going to have like a great morning chat and hopefully warm you all up for the rest of the day.
Absolutely. Testing. Absolutely. And just to sort of tee it off big picture, for you, why Web3? What makes you so passionate about the metaverse specifically?
Hey, that's a long story. So, why Web3? I think we really want to empower players and creators, and that desire started back in the origin of the Sandbox as a mobile game. It was a game that we launched in 2012, where anyone could create content, share it, and I've been very proud to empower the creativity of many people, and at the same time very frustrated that those people who spend time contributed to the value through the content they create and the time they involve into our mobile game couldn't be rewarded. It was such a pain to find how we could provide a rev share or pay manually those creators back then on mobile that we've been looking for a solution to achieve that. And only towards 2017, we found that blockchain and NFTs were actually potentially that solution, because for the first time, content back then in CryptoKitties, virtual cats, could be sold outside of the game itself on a marketplace that is not controlled by the developer, and users could exchange to each other the contents without the platform like the App Store, the Google Play Store being able to restrict so, or the developer to restrict so. And here came the idea again, okay, let's use that technology and again, empower anyone to make their own NFTs, and this time use that. And then from just a blockchain game with NFT, Sandbox is actually, decentralized virtual world with gaming mechanism, but it's expanded to a lot more experiences and social activities. And that's where we touch about metaverse. You enter Sandbox with an avatar. We want you to explore, to wander, to be inspired, to be creative, and to more social and immersive experiences made by the community or made by brands. And that's what we've been working now for close to 4 years, and what people can see in the Alpha Season 3, for example.
Excellent. Yeah, you guys have had a lot of progress in the last couple of years. You launched your Alpha. I believe you've launched a mobile version at this point, or that's coming up?
So definitely we've launched already 3 Alpha Season. Alpha Season, if you're not familiar, is basically a month. So the two first Alpha Season were a month long. The Season 3 is 10 weeks long, and it's every day there's a new experience from a partner or from a creator that's being unveiled. There are quests to complete. There is a leaderboard to progress, and it kind of drives you to come back and keep exploring and keep getting better in the metaverse and meet other people and so on. The mobile version, so right now Sandbox is essentially available on PC and Mac, and the mobile version is a major milestone for 2023. It's already in the work. Quite excited about that as well.
Totally. And before we get into big picture questions, which are going to make all the news, anything else for the progress of Sandbox? Anything else to say on updating us on where Sandbox is at today?
Well, I think it's a great question. We just published yesterday some of the metrics of where is Sandbox today. And I'd like to highlight one thing first, is Sandbox is still in alpha. We haven't opened Sandbox to the public at all time. The creation tools, VoxEdit, the marketplace, the map, or no-code game makers, they're all there, all live for creators. But Sandbox itself is not open at all time to the users, only during those alpha seasons. So what we're seeing in terms of metric is just a tiny portion of what it could be once everything is open, which is in our plan for early next year. And yet, Sandbox has over 39,000 active users on average. We have over 200,000 users on a monthly basis. People spend 20 to 30 minutes a day exploring those experiences. And like retention is through the roof. Like having been in the video game industry for over 10 years, I've never seen such engagement metrics in Sandbox. Like day 14 retention is close to 35–40%. It's so what this shows is like basically we're creating something that's engaging. So we're on the right track. That we shouldn't look at the metaverse only from the spectrum of on-chain transaction, which was some article did recently and it was not wrong, but it was only showing like a tiny portion of the picture. Like it's like going to a mall and only counting the people who are paying at the cashier. Like makes no sense. Like we see how Dubai Mall is full of people, etc. It's like, and so this is quite a good start. Also, like we measure not just engagement in the season, we measure the number of users with a wallet, more than 4 million. In the Web3 blockchain gaming space, close to 100 million wallets. It's a significant percentage, and we contribute to grow the ecosystem. And also, we're creator first, and I'm quite excited to see the number of creators growing. So we provide more jobs opportunity across the globe to artists and to game studios and studios that are metaverse builders, metaverse agencies. There's more than 230 today, and it's rapidly growing too. So there is an ecosystem that's building on top of Sandbox, which for me is very healthy. And there's more brands. Every week, new brands come in, acquire land, announce what they are going to do, or launch their experience in Sandbox, for a first taste of their experience in Sandbox. So all of that make us very confident in like the metaverse being like a long-term trend, and the Sandbox being able to showcase at every step of the way how it's going to be built.
Excellent. So you touched on something I wanted to ask you about, because this was a fresh article. I want to hear it from you. It sounds like it might be FUD to me. There's a CoinDesk article, October 7th, DApp Radar data saying Decentraland and Sandbox billion-dollar valuations, but their daily active users less than 1,000. And can you touch on that a little bit more?
So, well, if you refresh that page, you can see the article was updated just October 11th, a couple of hours ago. And I think it's important, like, again, the journalist was not wrong, and the DApp Radar data is correct. It only shows like a tiny portion of the activity reflecting on-chain transaction, meaning like when a user is buying an asset or is exchanging with another users, the buy and sell. And the metaverse is not just transactional. The metaverse is about like spending time, exploring, immersing yourself, socializing. Like I told you, 30 minutes, people spend 30 minutes. They don't spend every minute of it. They just like walk around and do other things. So it's important to keep educating the space, educating the journalist of like what are the industry standard engagement metrics. We didn't invent anything like DAOs, MAOs, day 1, day 3, day 7, day 14, day 30, retention, LTV, and so on are in metrics that works since for any business in Web 1, in Web 2, in Web 3, in gaming. And it's important to know those metrics and to make sure that they are on the right track.
For the next question, I want to poll the audience for a second. How many of you guys live in Dubai or from Dubai? And then how many just visiting? Okay, interesting. One of the things we were talking about in our little pre-interview, which will be on social media, is how you're expanding globally, essentially. Could you touch on what is Vara or Vera and what is the Sandbox, how you guys are expanding globally?
So that's a great question. And very often we see the Sandbox as a new digital nation without frontiers, where people who are like owning land, owning avatars, are the citizen of that new nation. We want the metaverse to be global, accessible from anywhere, just with a PC, Mac, and in future mobile. But we also want it to be local. Like it has to have something that appeals to you, specifically if you're in Dubai or in Turkey or in Hong Kong, in Tokyo or in Japan or in Korea. And that something is culture. Like, how do we make a metaverse that is interesting? We need to bring in culture, something that, for thousands of years, if you look at through like the human history. That's what people are passing by. That's what people makes like civilization interesting. We bring that culture by involving brands on one side, like brands in entertainment, in fashion, in music, in lifestyle, and so on, but also by understanding that every region is different. They want to have their neighborhood on the map where there will be this concentrate of culture, like the brands and partners that are meaningful for the region and allow them to expand to the world globally, even in the metaverse. And a few months back, I think it was in March, my first time in Dubai, we announced Dubaiverse and VARA, which is like the virtual asset regulator authority of Dubai, has made a pretty significant move for the region, as they've been the very first regulator in the world who entered the metaverse, and they picked Sandbox as a platform to acquire land and to lead the way for by offering to the other project that they will regulate to also have presence next to them, to become their virtual neighbor into the sandbox. And following that, we've been working with key partners of the region, helping them to onboard into the metaverse. The work done here by the official and government is amazing. When you see like how they are really pushing metaverse as the major goal for the country. And like this conference, GITEX is just the best example of that. You feel the energy, you feel all the projects who are here, and private sector, public sector, everyone needs to be involved following that. And we want to develop an ecosystem to grow jobs and opportunities for entrepreneur agencies, builders, and education as well, to provide the people, the talent needed to supply to locally. And that region, the Dubaiverse, we also added already, was 2 weeks ago, we announced Halish Time, which is one of the leading media of the region, who entered it. And there will be, that's the GCEX, which is one of the first exchange that's been also licensed by VARA, who entered, and so on. So movement is there, and if we want to become part of the Dubaiverse, I think it's a great time to look into it.
Excellent, excellent. I want to pivot a little bit. Sebastian, I'd love it if you could help educate us. Question for the audience. Are you guys familiar with billionaire investor Mark Cuban, Shark Tank? Everybody's a fan. All right. We just interviewed Mark Cuban on our channel, and this made news. And I wanted to ask you about this. Mark Cuban came on our channel, and he said, buying land in the metaverse is the dumbest shit ever. And one of the reasons he gave is there's an unlimited volume of land you can create. So how do you respond to this? Help us understand why someone would want to buy land in the metaverse.
Well, obviously, I will disagree with Mark Cuban, and I think he hasn't done like a great research on the topic. And so it's easy to throw those kind of sentences, which are very click-worthy, right? So we do a lot of research. We provide external research from various trusted sources and scientists who look really at what's the value of land. He's not wrong in saying like there is an infinite supply of land. Technically, the metaverse is like a myriad of virtual worlds, an infinite number of virtual worlds. Each one of them could have like finite number of land or infinite number of land. But there are specific virtual worlds like Sandbox or Decentraland and a few others which have a finite number of land that will never increase by smart contract. It's verified on the blockchain. And those places, they have activities, they have builders, they have a creator economy. They are attractive to business. So it's like saying like some of the capitals of the world, the megalopolis of the world, are not interesting in terms of like real estate investment. And we all know how wrong is that. Like Manhattan, the value of Manhattan, the value of even the Dubai region has grown as people have started to do urban planning, to bring culture, to bring diverse industry, to connect people and make it attractive with finance, with tourism and other activities. I think today the value of Sandbox Map is close to $1.2, $1.3 billion in total. And we didn't sell it right everything from the beginning because we take the time to build it progressively, region, neighborhood by neighborhood, curating the brand, curating the content, and making every neighborhood valuable for users. And that's So that's maybe what Mark Cuban didn't know about. And the second thing is like you should look at the value of virtual real estate over a long term. It's not an asset that you flip every like a crypto or currency or a token. You look at growing the value of your virtual land or owning it and renting it over a mid to long term position because you believe as well like the whole virtual world itself of the platform where the virtual world is built is going to also attract more users and develop, and this is a reasonably sound investment if you're also involved in contributing to the value. And in Web3, that value goes back to the user first, to the creator first, not to the platform. So I think that's all those arguments make me think like Mark Cuban is wrong, and I hope to have a chat with him about that topic one day.
Speaking of user first, I think what we're seeing just in general in this last year in a global down market, the quality projects keep building, keep implementing, and with you guys, the Sandbox, something that I see as just an average person. I'm not a tech guy. I don't come from traditional finance. I just see tons of IP and notable people coming to the Sandbox. So as we look over the next 5 years, what other differentiators do you see Sandbox growing?
So Sandbox has already, I think, we try at least to show like how different we are from other virtual world. Like we are focusing on creativity first, on user-generated content as well. So every time a brand enters Sandbox, we encourage them to launch like creative contests with our community to like called Game Jam or 3D voxel contests, where they allow their users, their fans, to co-create with them the space. We also allow to become the virtual neighbor of those brands. I don't know any other place in the world where you can do that. And we also create and curate that world so that when you enter, for example, Alpha Season 3, it's an experience where you have all this mix and match of IPs. It's almost like the modern Disneyland, except it's not just only Disney characters, it's every brand, content and characters that you find not in just one place, but scattered around many lands and into the experience of Sandbox. All of that makes me think it's exciting. It's a new format of entertainment. And I hope it also inspires you and the next generation of metaverse builders to create even more exciting experiences as well on their own land.
And continuing on that, into 2023 to 2025 or just beyond, what specific things on the roadmap or just things you're excited about looking forward?
So back to what I was saying earlier, like Sandbox platform is not yet open to the public. So that's our number one priority, like opening, giving the opportunity for landowners to publish their experience on their land, to monetize and give a full kickoff of the creator economy. Launching the mobile version next year. So we will become hopefully more mainstream. We all know that mobile is the go-to device for entering with your avatar and playing games and so on. And additionally to that, like keeping updating the creation tools so we empower more and more the imagination of people. So we are aware that the game maker, which is still in alpha, only allows to do a certain number and diversity of content, and yet always creators surprise us. And by adding, we'll launch by the end of the year a new version that's very focused on like multiplayer, social, and preparing for virtual concert and virtual shows. Putting that in the hands of creators first, I think it's not just us who will show you like how different the metaverse is going to be in the coming years, but it's the creators and the communities in itself.
Probably only have time for a couple more questions. Not going to go late. I know we have the full day ahead of us. So many things I want to ask you though, Sebastian. I guess let's go here. Help me finish this sentence. The Sandbox is better than Decentraland because, I mean, those are both the big blue chip metaverse gaming in the crypto space, I think. I talked to a lot of game developers. They truly say, a lot of them say the Sandbox is their preferred place to build. The Sandbox is better than Decentraland because...
I think they are not better. There's nothing better. There's always something that suits better a certain use case. So Sandbox is different than Decentraland, and together we're complementary and we'll build parts of that open metaverse.
I love it. And just to touch on that, because I think it kind of goes hand in hand, you're part of the Blockchain Game Alliance. I don't know much about that. Could you tell me what that is?
Sure. So I became the president of the Blockchain Game Alliance about 2 years ago. Back then, it was an association of about 30, 40 members. Today, it's 400 members. And our mission is really to educate the video game industry and showcase the possibilities that blockchain technology enables for game creators, studio, and so on. It's true that there is a lot of misconception about like what blockchain is, what our NFTs are, and what can be done. Technology by itself is neutral, but we want to educate the space so like people stop saying like those are not real games. They are like people that play to earn is not a business model. It's maybe a scam and so on. So by showcasing what's being worked, by educating around like what technology allows or not, and well, that's how we change people's minds and hopefully like build a stronger ecosystem and industry over time.
I have one final big picture crypto market question to end it, but anything we didn't mention that you want to cover about the sandbox?
I think, yeah, a lot of things.
Let's go through them all.
Interoperability. So how is Sandbox like concretely advancing to become an open metaverse? We work to enable that all the content made in Sandbox can be used on other applications, and we're seeing our NFTs being displayed into mobile AR games like Jadoo or OVR and so on. We also see external NFT collection, 13 of them to be more precise, with the Borget, Cloudnex, Cool Cats, Cyberkongs, and a few others, playable in Sandbox. So imagine you have just that NFT, that 2D image, and suddenly it adds more utility. It becomes an avatar, so it gains more utility. You can play with it, you can jump, you can run, you can dance, you can chat. You have 70 animation available, and you can explore it in the space. Many people have been teasing, I'm sure you hear that a lot, like, yes, interoperability is key and so on. For me, it's important, like, let's show it. That's what we do.
So interoperability, when I first think of that, I think of expanding blockchains, like you're on Ethereum, Polygon, a few others. You mentioned IP. Looking to the future, is it just the natural progression to go to other layer ones and get full domination in the crypto sphere as you get full domination as much as you can in the IP in general?
Our goal is not full domination. That's a very Web 2 view. Our goal is to grow an ecosystem, to inspire people, and like to get everyone into the open metaverse and fight against the Facebook, the Roblox, etc. of the world. You know, like to change that mindset, to show like interoperability, ownership of your assets. It's more than just like a nice to have. It's must have.
I appreciate that. My final question, just looking in 2023 in general, give me a prediction for crypto. Not, you don't have to get specific with price or anything, just what do you see in 2023?
Having, enjoying like more utility with your NFTs. Play with your NFTs for real.
An example?
Well, in Sandbox, obviously, we'll keep adding more and more utility and use case. But hopefully, many of the projects you might learn or see, they will deliver a playable version of the game or the product because they've been building in 2022 instead of trying to raise fund and tease community. So that's my prediction. Let's hope there will be more games and experience for us to play with our NFTs.
Thank you, everybody, very much, including the folks at home. My name's Aaron. This is Austin, Altcoin Daily on YouTube. Check us out. I want to give Sebastian, the COO and co-founder of Sandbox, the final word. And I guess, like, if somebody listening today wants to get involved in Sandbox, maybe actually like dive into the metaverse, you know, where should they go? What are the first steps to do that?
Very easy. Let's start creating an avatar and exploring those worlds. And hopefully you get inspired and you want to become part of that journey and also build the metaverse, the open metaverse with us.
Sebastian, thank you.
Thank you, Austin. Thank you, Aaron. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, everyone.
Let's stand up front for a picture real quick if anybody wants.